Hey, good morning, everybody. So we can make this work. How are you this morning? What I want to do each morning is share just a legal case that we've handled with you. Good morning, good to see you. Imagine being at your home and hearing your dog squeal for its life. You look out the window and you see your dog rolling down the slope behind your house, head over heels, and slam into a tree in your backyard. You run out, the dog's not moving, it's got a broken leg, it's screaming in pain. You look up and you see your neighbor walking away with a bat in his hand. Okay, that's what this case was all about. It was about the nightmare neighbors, the neighbors who are bullies, and striking our client's dog, among other things, with the bat. My name is Mitch Jackson. I'm a California trial lawyer, and what I want to try to do is just share war stories with you of different cases we've handled over the years. My firm's Jackson and Wilson. The website's jacksonandwilson.com. And just want to take a couple of minutes. If you have questions, just shout them out, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. But basically what we have is new neighbors. They move into their new house. First weekend they're there in the new neighborhood, and they, well, you know, we tried to do that. The comment is they need to be put in jail for animal cruelty. But this is even better. You're going to like what happened to these bullies, these idiots. Neighbors move into the house. They look out their window the first weekend they're there, and they see a knucklehead in the backyard actually chopping down their trees with a saw, trying to saw down their trees and bushes. My client, the husband, goes out, asks him, "What are you doing?" "Well, we're just trimming some trees. They're blocking our view," and the prior owners of the home said that would be all right. And of course, my neighbor, my client, the new neighbor, said, "No, that's not okay. Let me talk to my wife. We'll talk to you about the trees, but in the meantime, please stop cutting our trees and please get out of our backyard." That's unfortunately how the relationship started, and it just snowballed and got worse and worse. What happened is the neighbors above, the bullies, a husband and wife, and their two adult sons, one or more of them, excluding the wife, but the guys in the family would routinely throw trash over the wall into my client's backyard. They would routinely harass my clients. When my client and his little girl or son were walking to school, driving around the neighborhood, they would consistently be yelled at by these neighbors. They would be consistently, profanity would be directed their direction, flipping the finger, just saying things that shouldn't be said. There was one incident where my client's, the wife, represented the husband and wife. The wife was out by the pool with a friend, and the kids enjoying the community pool in their bathing suits, and the adult neighbor came down to the pool, sat across from them, fully clothed in a chair, and just stared at my client, who was the wife, and made her feel, extremely uncomfortable. And obviously, our position is that the reason he did this was to completely harass them and basically make her feel as uncomfortable as she did. Allegations. Well, there was something that they could do. And after this went on for a couple of years, they were referred to our office. And what happened was we ended up, and there's nothing I'd rather do than take on bullies, we ended up filing a lawsuit against these knuckleheads. And once their dog was hit by the bat, once the dog was injured, once they took him to the vet, the dog had to have surgery, the dog did live. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. So they were referred to our law firm, and we filed a lawsuit for negligence, harassment, emotional distress, things like this. Not only to about what happened to the dog, but also what the family was going through. This was just a nightmare for everybody. And the case worked its way through the court system. Part of the case had to do with getting a court order stopping them from doing what they were doing, stopping them from treating. Yeah, it's just very sad. And long story short, we ended up in trial. We ended up in trial on this particular case. And what happened was, of course, the defendants denied everything. and we put on evidence, we put on witnesses, other neighbors that had seen some of this conduct take place. The defendant put on a neighbor, next door neighbor, that said this never happened. His testimony was completely disregarded by the jury. It wasn't credible at all. And as a matter of fact, they had met with him the night before and talked about what he should talk about in trial. One of the issues in the case had to do with the neighbors on the top of the slope installing floodlights and shining the floodlights down on our client's home at night just to harass him. The neighbors above the slope had taken out a large sign and put it across the back of their home. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it's something like "Save my view" or "Save our view." Obviously the sign, the only people that could read it would be our clients directly below them and maybe the house to one side of them. But it was just this ongoing harassment year after year after year. So we went to trial. We had the vet testify as to the surgery that he performed on the dog. We had the family and witnesses testify as to what they saw. One of the kids testified that he watched the dog tumble head over here. Let's see who is that. Hey, how's it going? Head over heels down the slope into the tree. And it was just an emotional case. It was a week-long jury trial. What was interesting is one of the boys, two of the boys, the adult mid-20-year-old boys that lived above, had actually, after the dog incident, our client went up and asked them, what are you guys doing? And it got into a heated exchange. One of the boys put a camera in my client's face. What are you going to do about it? Used profanity, threatened to kick his ass. It was a pretty heated situation. The police were called. Okay, sounds good. Thanks for stopping by. The police were called, and no arrests were made. So when I had that particular young man on the stand, I talked to him about whether or not he used that type of language towards my clients. Would he ever use that type of language? And he denied that he would use that type of language under any circumstance. That's just not his personality. What he didn't know is we had his Facebook page. And on his Facebook page, he did use that type of language over and over, specifically in one instance referencing women. It was a derogatory comment that he said he would never use. So once I got him to commit on the stand that he would never, he's not that type of person and he wouldn't use that type of language, we displayed the large Facebook wall blow up, obviously indicating otherwise to a jury, and it was just a beautiful thing. It was so fulfilling to watch him squirm on the stand and just watch the jurors roll their eyes, just understanding the fact that these people couldn't be believed. And what was interesting is these were all well-to-do families. Oh, thanks a lot. There's a lot of good lawyers out here in the United States, across the country. So just make sure you're dealing with somebody that you're comfortable with and you trust. But what then happened is the jury came back with a verdict. And the jury came back with a verdict against the defendants, against these bullies, totaling something around $450,000, which was just incredible. And what was interesting about this case was that for the first time under California law, the jury was allowed to award damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress when an owner observes or perceives an injury to its pet. So if you're in California and you observe your pet being intentionally harmed by somebody else, and that harm resulted in damages to you, you legitimately experienced emotional distress, and most pet owners would. For the first time ever in California, you were able to bring a cause of action for that. And I say that because the case was appealed. And on appeal, the appellate court ruled that way. The appellate court said, no, it's okay and it's appropriate and proper for the owner of a pet who sustained emotional distress after observing its pets, specifically in this case, rolling down the hill, breaking its leg when it hit the tree after being struck by a baseball bat. We're actually okay with that. And so it was a published case and a published appellate decision that we were able to bring to full conclusion, full circle. At the end of the day, the clients were compensated for their loss. At the end of the day, the bullies were frankly put in their place and held responsible and accountable for what they did. They had to write a big check, and it was over. So my takeaway from this experience is that if you're a victim of being bullied, if you're being harassed by neighbors, by third parties, whether it's on your private property, whether it's in the workplace, wherever it might be, the bottom line is stand up for your rights. Okay, don't be afraid to draw a line in the sand, and as soon as that conduct gets to the point where it's just not socially acceptable anymore, step up, hire a good lawyer in your city, in your state, to hold the other party responsible, and frankly, to put the bullies in their place. If you'd like to learn more about this particular case, reach out to me on Twitter at Mitch Jackson. I'll send you a link to a blog post at our site. If you go to our website, mylawyerrocks.com, and in the search box at the bottom, type in, I believe, dog or dog, and maybe the word bat, it should take you to that particular case and the cites on the appellate decision. So that's it for this morning. Another beautiful Thursday morning in Southern California. My name is Mitch Jackson, and thanks for stopping by, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow or maybe next week with another legal war story. Bye-bye.